He's originally from Belgium, and he travels throughout Europe, teaching extensively the science and practice of Bhakti Yoga. And he's known for his kind of focus on learning and study. And also, we're going to be speaking a little bit about the holy name today, or this Maha mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra. If you're confused about what it was, it's this. And he also has a PhD in the study of religion from the University of Wales. So we can, Maharaj will speak for about an hour, and then we'll have some time for questions and answers and anything you'd like to ask. So without further ado, let's give a big round of applause to Maharaj.
So I'm very happy to be with you this evening. I would like to start with reading a verse from a very important scripture, which is called Bhagavad Gita. Who knows Bhagavad Gita? Most of us. That's good. Who is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita? Who knows? Krishna, yes. And Krishna speaks here an interesting verse. He speaks about a Mahatma. That's Maha Atma. What does Maha mean? Great, yeah. And Atma? Soul. A Mahatma is a great soul. In that verse, Krishna gives a definition of a Mahatma. That Mahatmanas tumam parta devim pragati asvita Pachantyana manasurhyatva buddhadim avyayam. Mahatma, a great soul. Mahatmanas tumam parta. Parta means son of Preta. Is speaking to the son of Preta. The son of Preta. Who is Preta? Who is another name of Preta? Is Kunti. The son of Kunti. Who is the son of Kunti? Arjuna. So Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. And he says, Mahatmanas tumam parta devim prakati ashvita. That's the definition of a Mahatma. Devim prakati, Devi prakati means spiritual energy. Spiritual energy. Ashvitaha, one who is taken shelter of the spiritual energy. One who is connected with the spiritual energy is a Mahatma. Many times we have another idea of what's a Mahatma. Someone with a beard, dressed in saffron, maybe of red, but no, it's Devim Bhagati Ashita. So one who knows to connect with the spiritual energy. So, and then Krishna says, Bhajantyanam yamanaso hyatva buddhadim avyam. How do they connect with the spiritual energy? Because they are fully engaged in devotional service, because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible, and Krishna says. That we'll read the commentators, the commentaries of great sages, which are here explained by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, who wrote the commentary. And he says, in this verse, the description of the Mahatma is clearly given. The first sign of a Mahatma is, what's the first sign?
It's connected to the spiritual energy.
Devim Prakati Ashvita. Very attentive listener, thank you. The first sign of the Mahatma is that he is already situated in the divine nature, the spiritual nature. Is not under the control of the material nature. There are two natures mentioned here. Material nature and spiritual nature. So we can either connect with the material energy or with the spiritual energy. But a Mahatma is always connected with the spiritual energy. Let's see further. He's not under control of material nature. So if you are under the material nature, you are under the control of material nature. What is material nature? It's Maya, that's the name of energy. You have two kinds of energy. The Maha Maya, Yoga Maya, spiritual or material energy. But yes, material, under control of material nature means under control of the laws of nature. That the essence of spirituality is to understand who we are. Who we are. That understanding our real self. And that is what Bhagavad Gita teaches. And it's not difficult, it's very difficult to understand who we are when we are under the material energy. Why is that? Because we are spiritual by nature. Our consciousness comes from the spiritual realm. That is something where scientists are still debating over. They are debating over the point, what's the cause of consciousness? Some say at certain time it appears from matter. It develops from matter. And some, when Prabhupada was with us 50 years ago, then there was one of his first disciples here in America was Bhakti Swarup Damodar, Dr. Bhakti Swarup Damodar. He was a doctor in chemics. And at that time there was another doctor in chemics who announced, yes, consciousness comes from matter. And Dr. Bhakti Swarup Damodar challenged him, if consciousness is a combination of chemicals, if we give you the chemicals, can you create consciousness? Can you create life? And his reply was, that we cannot do. So why are they coming up with all these foolish theories if they cannot show what their theories is about? when they cannot prove it. That, no. Origin of consciousness. Krishna speaks about consciousness in Bhagavad Gita. He says in the 2nd chapter, that which pervades the entire body is indestructible. In the 13th chapter, he says that which pervades the entire body is consciousness. We are conscious, right? That we are conscious what's going on in our body. To a certain extent, not everything. We are not conscious of every cell and what it does. But we have consciousness. That consciousness comes from the spirit soul in the heart. That described in Vedas as 1/10,000th point of a hair. It's in the heart. And that's our real self, and that's spiritual. That spiritual means it's eternal. Krishna says about in 2:20 in Bhagavad Gita, this soul has never been born, never been created, and will never stop to exist. That's good news. That we are eternal. But we are now, although we are eternal, we are now connected with this material nature. Our consciousness is connected with that. Because our consciousness is connected with this material nature. And that we are entrapped in this body. A gross and a subtle body. And that, yes, please.
Question. So could we take a few steps back and define what is material energy versus spiritual energy? It sounds like what I'm understanding is you're saying consciousness is spiritual energy. So is everything else material energy?
No. That's the spirit soul is the consciousness, and the spirit soul is different, not the same. The spirit soul, the symptom of the spirit soul is consciousness. It's a symptom, but it's antimatter. You cannot see it. It's in the heart, area of the heart, and there the heart is the center of all energy of the body. And from the heart, this consciousness is spread all over the body to the bloodstream. Everywhere there is blood, you feel. But technically, to answer your question, that because it requires a deeper study, it is not easy to understand while you are under the material energy. Material energy will not let you understand what I'm now going to say. Spirit soul is made of Satchitananda. That's a substance. It's called Brahman in the Vedas. Satchitananda. It had these three characteristics. It is eternal. It's full of knowledge and full of unending happiness. These are the characteristics of the spiritual energy. The characteristics of the material energy is they consist out of 8 elements. Bhumi, Rapa, Nala, Vair, Kama, Buddha, Ivsha, Ankara, Itya, Me, Bina, Prakriti, Ashvita. It's material energy is earth, it's air, fire, water, and then ether. These are 5 gross elements and 3 subtle elements. It's called buddhi, intelligence is subtle body, the mind, and false ego. It's what makes us think that we are the body, a false ego, but we have a real ego. Now, we have explained that the soul, the symptom is consciousness. But what's the activity of the soul? What does the soul do? I'm speaking here, the lips of the body are moving, the tongue is moving, right? It's speaking, but this is material nature. I'm not doing that. And I'm also doing that. But I'm not the real doer. Because I don't control material nature. Krishna speaks about that. Material nature is controlled by the super soul, Krishna in the heart. But this is deeper knowledge.
One more question.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said the 8 elements of the material energies, right? So air, ether, earth, water, fire, and then the other 3 I understand is the concept of the soul, right?
No,
Subtle
it's
body.
material energy.
Okay.
The soul has nothing to do with it.
So subtle body is ego and intelligence and mind. Was that
Yeah.
what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So
We are not the mind, we are not the intelligence. These are instruments of the soul.
So where does the false ego fit into that, like in relation
Yeah,
to that?
let us first go to the ABC. And let us try to understand where am I, the soul, in all of this. We said the soul is the symptom of the soul, who remembers? Consciousness. What does the soul do?
Serve?
Please?
Serve?
Serve, that is a desire to serve, yes. The soul desires. The soul desires. But the Mahatma here, he connects with the spiritual energy. If one connects with the spiritual energy, one comes in contact with one's real self. If we are an eternal spirit soul, we are in this heart, we are different from this material energy, gross and subtle bodies. So why are we imprisoned in this body? Why are we here? Why do we have these bodies? Where does it come from? Why do we have all a different body? Where do we come from? Where do we go? Many times I speak with people with different religions. And I ask them, according to your religion, where do you come from? Where do you go? Where did you come from before birth and after birth, after death? Where do you go? Many religions don't know. The Vedas describe why we are here, where we coming from, why we came in contact with this material energy. and how to liberate ourselves from this material energy and get our eternal life back. Because we are eternal, but the body is temporary. We are living in this body as the source of the consciousness. But to realize our real identity, that the Mahatma connects with the spiritual energy. So that is, because this is a science, and to understand this science, we need to spend a few years together to explain you. But I just want to introduce it, that's all. So the spirit soul desires. That's the only thing factually we do. And by our desire, we connect ourselves with the material energy or with the spiritual energy. And what consciousness keeps us in this material energy is that we are falsely identifying with this body and try to enjoy this body. We are trying to enjoy the body, to get pleasure from this body. We are trying to enjoy eating pizza. How long does it take eating a pizza?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, that's quick. Depends also on the size, maybe. And after enjoying the pizza, what happens?
You want more.
Hungry again.
You want more pizza.
Yeah. You become hungry again after some time. So that is the pleasure of the body. That pleasure of eating removes our hunger. To be hungry is a pain in the stomach. But that's not real happiness. What does the soul want? What do we all want? We want to love and be loved. That is what we want, to love and be loved. But what do we get in this world? That we have a body and the body will die soon. That's a reality. But we are not this body. We are eternal. Why are we connected with this material energy?
We desire to forget Krishna.
Yes, that's the root cause. Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita about an enemy number one. What is the enemy number one that makes us identify with this body? Kam, lust. Lust, anger, greed. Lust makes us identify with this body. Why is that? Because it brings us in a duality, or Krishna calls it raga, dvesha. What's good, what gives pleasure to the body, I like. What gives pain, I don't want. And that duality makes you identify with the body. The duality of desire and hate. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that's illusion. That is caused by the material energy. By the material energy. Because it makes you think that things in this world belong to me and are for my enjoyment. But Krishna says, no, it belongs to me and it's for my enjoyment. It's when you take birth, is something yours in this world? But then during our life we think that is mine, that's for my enjoyment, and then you leave. So that's the illusory energy, the material energy. But we have, Krishna explains, we don't belong to this world. Our consciousness is eternal. The soul is eternal and belongs in the eternal world. That we are spiritual eternal beings in this body. But how to come out of this illusion? That you need to connect with the spiritual energy. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if you connect with the spiritual energy, the Dami Buddhi Yogam Dham, I give you spiritual intelligence. You have spiritual IQ and you have material IQ. University's degrees will not help you to understand this. That's not helpful. It will bewilder you, that's all. You need spiritual intelligence, and spiritual intelligence is coming from the spiritual platform. It's not coming from the brain. Krishna says, I'm Sarvas, Samritishanivishta. I'm in the heart of all living entities. I'm in the heart. That Sarvas, Samritishanivishta, Mata Shmitra Namapamsa. And for me comes remembrance, knowledge, forgetfulness. Whatever you know, whatever you forget, Krishna gives you. And may give you according to your karma, the reactions of your previous activities in previous lives. Nothing happened by chance. That is omnipotent. Now, how can we get this intelligence? That it's by connecting with the spiritual energy. You have to be connected. Otherwise, it will not work. You will never understand your real identity. You have to be connected. You have to connection is important. This is an iPhone. And in the iPhone, so many apps. Okay? If the iPhone is not connected with the internet, what's the use of the apps? Will they work? No. So we have to learn how to become connected with the spiritual energy. And that connection will start clearing out our consciousness, remove the influence of these modes, remove the influence of this material nature. And then gradually we will come when because this lust is in the heart. And what is the result of lust?
Destruction.
That anger, greed, madness, illusion, envy, so many things come from that. That frustration, so we have to cleanse our heart factually, and it has been mentioned before, I said before, so we want all love and be loved. But love means service. That love means service. And yes, now we are serving this body. We have become the slave of the body, the slave of our minds. Because it's very tricky. We are not the mind. We are not our thinking, feeling, willing. This is an instrument that the soul uses. And therefore, to come to the point of understanding our real self, we must use the mind to understand who we are. Clear out the consciousness. Clear out the mind. So, therefore Krishna explains yoga. Yoga means connecting with the spiritual energy, really. Connecting the mind with the spiritual energy. That, and because now we are under the control, most people are under the control of their mind, under control of their emotions, that, and under control of their likes and dislikes. That when I was in Scotland many years ago, we had a festival and I was sitting in a tent with a little sign, "Ask a monk." And a young lady came to me and said, "I want to find my soulmate." So with soulmate, she wanted to say, "I want to find someone with the same likes and dislikes, of the same nature, same likes and dislikes." But this likes and dislikes is our material contamination of attachment and aversion to this world. And because of this material contamination, we take on birth after birth after birth. That's a reality. That's why we take birth, because of this material contamination. But how to remove it? That you must become a Mahatma and connect with the spiritual energy. And in the next verse, Krishna explains how to do that. How to do that? What are the Mahatmas? What are they doing? They are doing Satatam Kirtayantamam. They are always chanting Krishna's glories. They are always chanting Krishna's names. So therefore, to connect with Krishna means serving Krishna with devotion, serving God with devotion. That is the purpose of every bona fide religion, is developing love for God, developing this love. And that tendency is in the soul to love. And when it's projected to the Supreme Lord, to Krishna, it's the Sanskrit for God. When we protect our love to Him, then we will feel satisfied. But now, this is spiritual love. As long as we have this lust in our heart, we cannot develop this love. It's not possible. Therefore we have to remove this lust through Satatam Kirtayantamam. That always chanting Krishna's glories. And you have many ways to do that, but the most powerful way I'm going to explain now. and that's the chanting of Krishna's names. That will remove from this Maha mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This holy names, this chanting is completely spiritual and comes from the spiritual world. According to the Vedas, according to Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita about his Paramdham, his supreme abode in the spiritual world, and he's always there. But he's not someone like us. He's there and is at the same time all pervading. He's in every atom as Paramatma. That is in our heart. So Krishna is not far. He's with us. But if we chant this Hare Krishna mantra, then by its power, different things will happen. First, if you chant it with attention, it will remove the lust from your heart, gradually. Gradually you will, when you chant this mantra with attention, you will very quickly start to feel, I'm different from this body. I'm not this hand. I'm not this mind. So I'm even not the intelligence. I can use the intelligence. The soul, Krishna says, is the most subtle element. And the most subtle material element, besides that, is intelligence. So the soul directs the intelligence. The intelligence directs the mind directs the senses. But mostly in this world, most people are in illusion, and the sense objects attracts their senses, and the senses senses tell to the mind, I want to enjoy, and the mind misuses intelligence for enjoyment. The subtle is the most powerful. So by chanting this mantra, the heart is cleansed of lust, anger and greed. And gradually you start to understand your real position. That's one aspect. But when the heart is cleansed, you will develop this love for God. But there are 3 stages of coming to that. And there are 3 kinds of happiness going with it. 3 kinds of happiness. There is the material happiness, the happiness of the senses. The happiness of the senses is temporary, right? That it's eating the pizza is very temporary. Sanskrit is called Chapala Sukha. Sukha means happiness. Chapala is flickering. It's there just for a moment. Chapala Sukha. And it's Bogatyag. Sometimes you enjoy, sometimes not. Mostly not. But then short, so-called enjoyment. But it's enjoyment of the body. The soul has no message on it. The soul wants a higher enjoyment, wants love. So that's material happiness. Then the next level of happiness is the spiritual happiness of liberation. You chant Hare Krishna mantra, you perform devotional service, you hear about Krishna, you serve the deity here. So many forms of devotional service, but this chanting is most important. Chanting has three aspects: hearing, speaking, and remembering. That's internal. But it will, when the heart is cleansed then we don't identify with the body anymore, but with the soul. So you have, what's the illusion? We are now acting as the body. We think ourselves maybe American or European, or we think ourselves a man or a woman. But we are not these things. Different races. But no, on the spiritual platform we are all equal. That does not exist. That's only the body. Now in this life you can have a body of a man, next life body of a woman. Depends on where your consciousness goes during your life and at the time of death. It's a contamination of consciousness. By that contamination, we take birth again. Prabhupada said many times, you see this arm? This is a gross arm, made of boemerang op alle vijf orgaan. Earth, air, ether, mind, water, fire. But below this gross arm, there is a subtle arm, made of mind, intelligence, false ego. You can't see it, but it's there. It's there. The consciousness flows to this subtle body. The subtle body is a form, already in the womb of the mother. The subtle body is there, and the gross body is constructed upon the gross body. Prabhupada said there is a gross arm, a subtle arm, and a spiritual arm. Our spiritual body is there. 3 in 1. But our spiritual body, our spirit soul is a form. That's our real form. And yes, if we are liberated from this desire to exploit this material energy, if we are liberated from this desire to exploit, then we realize we are not this body. And we become fearless, abhaya, fearless. Sattva samsudhir, completely purified from lust, anger and greed. No desire to enjoy anything in this world anymore. And then you are liberated. You are peaceful. That is the beginning of spiritual life. It's called Brahma Bhuta. Brahma Bhuta Prashanatma. Then you are peaceful. Nashushni Nakangshni. You don't hanker over anything. Don't lament. But one may say, oh, wait a minute. You don't have desires anymore? No, that's not what we are saying. You don't have a desire to exploit anymore. Because if you act for exploitation of this material energy, to give the body pleasure which you are not, which is insanity, that it is insanity. then you act as the body. You think you are the body. And that's false ego. But when you are liberated, you have realized I'm not the body. You realize that only when your heart is free from lust, anger and greed. The process which takes usually 30-40 years to purify your heart, if you are very serious. And then you get this liberation. And that's peace, the beginning of the spiritual platform. But that's not the goal. Many think that that's the goal. The Buddhists think nirvana. That's the same. That's the goal. Impersonalists in India, Mayavadis, they think merging with Brahman is the goal. No, that's the beginning. That's the beginning. Then you have understood I'm not a body. But then you have to learn who I am. I'm a spirit soul. That's the next thing. And what is the activity of the soul? Activity of the soul, you can only perform this activity of the soul if you understand what the soul is. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita 15:7, Mamaivam Suchiveluka Shiva Buddha Sanatana. We are a part and parcel of Krishna. Part and parcel of Krishna. 1,000 of a point of a hair, antimatter. Krishna is the big soul. He is everything. And we are a part of it. And as a part, we should serve the whole. We should connect. That connection is there. That connection is made by service in love. So if we serve Krishna, then we are connected. Serving in love. Serving by chanting this mantra. Someone asked my spiritual master, what does it mean chanting Hare Krishna? He gave a very simple answer. He said, it's saying to God, I love you. That's it. That's all. Very simple. So, if we chant this mantra, we should try from our heart to express our love for God, for Krishna. But that starts with chanting with attention. If you love someone, you first give attention and then you love. So attentive is important. This holy name comes from Goloka Vrindavan. Narottam Das Thakur says, Golokera Prema Dana. It comes from the spiritual world. And activities in the spiritual world are described in the scripture Srimad Bhagavatam. You can get that here. That Srimad Bhagavatam. And there is described how Krishna's associates in the spiritual world are chanting this holy name out of love. That these are the activities that they are doing there. And this is the activities of a Mahatma. He does these spiritual activities, acting out of love for God, by chanting his holy names. And this holy name is Krishna himself. It's spiritual. If you chant it, you will feel the spiritual power. It has the power to destroy all your karma. We are here because karma means reactions on previous activities in previous lives. And we have done all different activities. And we have all different bodies. Different situated in this material nature. Because we are unique. Yes, we have all a different fingerprint, right? Someone has the same? No. We are all unique. We have a unique relationship with Krishna. So this love is dormant. The Vedas say, what's the goal of life? Ananda Maya Vyasat. Ananda Maya Vyasat means that we want Ananda, spiritual ecstasy, bliss, love. So life is meant for enjoyment. But that enjoyment we are seeking now in the world of matter, in this body. But spiritual enjoyment is the enjoyment of the soul. And if the heart is pure, we develop this love for God. But God means also all living entities. It's in everyone's heart. If you love Krishna, you love everyone. And that love will develop that just by chanting this Hare Krishna mantra. But Krishna, he knew this is the remedy, especially in this age because we take another gross body and another gross body according to our consciousness at the time of death, Krishna says. Yam yam vapisvam vam tant antikalevam tam tamavetigram yam satsabhava bhavita. Whatever consciousness you have at the time of death, that state you will attain again. So the man is dying, is attached to his wife, he thinks of his wife, he becomes a woman in his next life, and one gets one body after another. But Krishna says, one who thinks of me at the time of death does not take birth again. He goes to the spiritual world. And Krishna knew that. And therefore he came himself, he came 5,000 years ago, he appeared on this earth, Krishna. But he appeared also 500 years ago in this age as Sri Krishna Chaitanya. It's the same Krishna from Golok, from the spiritual world. And he came to bring us this gift of the Maha Mantra. He explained how to fix our mind on Krishna during our lives. And it's very powerful. That this is the most powerful mantra because it's Krishna himself. But to chant it, it's a science. It's not just, there are no rules and regulations, right? Everyone can chant. Everyone can chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But to chant it with the proper inner attitude, that's the challenge. And what attitude do you need to chant this mantra to get its full effect? It will always have effect. But to get its full effect, the full cleansing of our heart, the full cleansing of the lust, anger, and greed from the heart, it's Trinata Pishnitsneta Ora Visesna Mana Manadana Kirtanyasna. You must be humble. Humility. If you think, this philosophy that I don't accept it with my intelligence, I reject it, that, well, Krishna is God. He is the absolute truth. And to understand this knowledge, there are qualifications. That what is Krishna's instruction in Bhagavad Gita to connect with him? His final instruction is say, Man mana bhavamat bhakto maching mam namaskaram. Man mana, think of me always. And then you, bhavamat bhakto, you become my devotee. You will develop this devotion. And then Machai, you will worship Krishna. Mam namaskaru, offer him respect. That's the process. The process. Krishna explains. But that process is easy to reach through this chanting. If you are humble, humility. We need to use our intelligence to understand how this Bhagavad Gita is true. So intelligence is very important. How it is true, but not to challenge it with your intelligence. That's the academic way. Krishna says, oh, you challenge me? Okay, you go on for a few lifetimes. Why? That will not work. Krishna wants us to understand that we are all fools. Because why are we here? Why do we get this body? Because we wanted to enjoy separately from him. That's why we are here. And it's not a good proposal. We are all going to millions of births and deaths, and now you get this human form of life, which is unique. It's a unique form. Veda says there are 8,400,000 forms of life. That's a lot. 8 million. And the human form is very rarely attained because it gives higher consciousness. Higher consciousness. And the human form of life, the consciousness of the soul can manifest fully. And it will manifest fully by chanting this Hare Krishna mantra. The Vedas explain there are different kinds of consciousness. The lowest consciousness is Annamaya, food consciousness. Many are in that food consciousness, like to eat. They think the goal of life is to eat. No, that's animal consciousness, food consciousness. And then a little higher is called pranamaya. It's not only I who want food, there are also others who want food. There's competition, I have to defend myself. Like that's typical animal consciousness. And then we come to human consciousness. That's manamaya or jnanamaya. It's the consciousness we think, thinking, feeling, willing. One understands I'm thinking, feeling, willing. There are these. One becomes conscious of one's subtle body. And one is interested in art, in study, so many things that all the aspects of human civilization, nice. But in that consciousness, one still identifies with the body. One thinks himself a human, a man, a woman, whatever. But then you have the fourth state of consciousness. The fourth state of consciousness is called Vijnanamoya. Vijnanamoya is a stage where you start to question, who am I? One wants to understand the difference between matter and spirit. Who am I? Where do I come from? Why am I in this body? I'm not his hand. If I cut his hand, I'm still existing, hopefully. Prabhupada was in India, in Mayapur, in our Gurukul. Gurukul means our school. And he asked, who is the most intelligent boy? And they all pointed to one boy. And Prabhupada said, you come here, and he said to the boy, show me your head. He was going like this, and show me your leg, and all the parts of his body. And then Prabhupada asked, and now point to your real self. Who are you? Point to you, to yourself. And the boy became confused. So that's Vijnana Moya. One is interested, who am I? And one starts to read this Bhagavad Gita, and becomes interested in liberation. And one tries to understand the process of liberation by accepting a spiritual master. And then strives for liberation. That's Vijnana Moya. That most people in this world are not interested in. But I see you all came today. You may be interested in it. That's because that's the fourth stage, still a material stage of consciousness. But then you have the pure consciousness of the soul, it's Anandamaya, and it's full of bliss. When you come to realize that you are not a body, and you realize your relationship with Krishna, you feel always blissful. Is it difficult to know who is advanced, spiritual advanced or not? No. One who is always happy. That's always blissful. He's on the spiritual platform. It's very rarely attained. And that's the process we are explaining today. The Mahatma, how to connect, to come to that blissful state and get back our eternal, our normal situation. Because our situation is not normal. Because we are our spirit soul, we are eternal. But everything in this world is temporary. And that changes every moment. But we are not changing. We have the same body. Every cell in this body changes. Every 6 years you have a complete new body. But still, you are the same person. Are you going to the bank and you take a mortgage loan for 20 years, and after 6 years you go back and say, oh, all my cells changed, I'm not the same person anymore. I'm not the one who signed, no. No. We feel we are the same person. Even in an old body, we feel we are young. Because we are eternal young. And this starts with chanting this Maha mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, if you want to know more about this process, the first thing is learn the basic things. And that is in a book called Nectar of Instruction, Upadesamrita. You can get it here. And then the second thing is, then you have to learn, after the basic things, how to practice, how to make that connection. One of the connections is chanting the Maha mantra. That's the most important, but not the only. How to develop this devotion. That you can read in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, another book which you can get here. And then you should study the basics of spirituality, Bhagavad Gita. And then to further advance, you need to study Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a science. All these books you can get here. It's a spiritual wealth. It will change your life. Do not accept this just by my words. Just practice it and feel it yourself. That will convince you. Feel how your life is changing. How you become stronger in mind, undisturbed in happiness and distress in this world. And how you become a kind-hearted person. And will attract many people. Because they see you don't want to exploit them. You only want to give love. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Very good.
So let's give another big round of applause to Bhakti. Thank you, Maharaj, for leading this discussion, conversation about the Gita. So now we'll move on to the next part of the program. We're just going to stand up and move